Live movie review, The Smashing Machine, Baltimorons, Taylor Swift, the official release party of a Life of a Showgirl movie is out this weekend, guys, October 3rd to the 5th. I just got back from seeing it. We will be talking about it. And of course, Smashing Machine with The Rock and Emily Blunt opens up. And I saw it last night, and it's a good movie. It's a really good movie. So we've got some interesting ones on tap. I'm going to go back and review The Strangers Chapter 2 from last week because I didn't have the heart to get on the camera and, well, trash that movie. But we'll trash it today as, well, it deserves it. It's just going to be one of those movies that comes and goes and nobody's going to watch it. But people are going to be watching this one. Taylor Swift, the official release party of The Life of a Showgirl. So, let's get into this. Alan. This will be cut out and put up on the channel later on, separately. Taylor Swift, the official release party of a Showgirl movie, is in theaters this weekend from October 3rd to the 5th. And basically, guys, if you saw the trailers for this movie is just basically Taylor talking about the making of the first music video for it, for the song, the Ophelia song. Oh my God, The Fate of Ophelia. Yeah, there you go. Hey, I really like that song. I liked it so much I forgot the name of it. Oh, mercy. Can I do a retake of this one? I can. Why not? Okay, I will. The hell with it. Taylor Swift, the official release party of a Showgirl, is in theaters this weekend, October 3rd to the 5th. And basically what it is, it's a behind-the-scenes look of the making of the music video, The Fate of Ophelia, that is being premiered in 2 days. So after the movie has its run here in the theater, they'll release it on the smaller screen for YouTube. But I would go check it out on the big screen because you get the big sound, you get a bunch of the visualizer songs. So she goes through the entire album and you get to hear the songs on the big screen. But on top of that, you also get a look behind the scenes of how they shot the video. They talk about costuming, set, makeup and all that kind of stuff, what she was thinking while she wrote these songs. So it's kind of cool in that aspect. If you are a Swiftie, of course you're going to check this movie out. It's worth the money if you like that. If I looked at it as a piece of entertainment value for anybody else who is not a Swiftie, this might be a bit of a bore for you because we're listening to the entire album. And we're seeing visualizers, and some of those visualizers, I guess, can be labeled a touch boring, because while the music is good, it's just basically a still image of her, and then it's got like some rotoscoping or some kaleidoscope effects on it, but it's basically the same image of her, and then it's got the lyrics over the video, walking you through the song. And if you're not up for that, that's basically what the bulk of what this movie is. And everybody in the theater there is there to celebrate Taylor. And if you're not a big fan of hers, there might not be a lot of value in there for you. She comes on in the beginning saying, okay, let's celebrate the music. If you want to sing and dance, by all means, go ahead and do that. Sort of like the Eras album. I think they were going to try to go for that vibe, but I found like the experience was interesting. I liked seeing her talk about the music. For me, I think I would have preferred having her talk about the music a little bit more and see her actually recording the music, kind of like that one they did for Folklore and Evermore, where it's just her in that cabin and she's talking about writing certain pieces and trying to hammer out lyrics and stuff like that. This one's a bit more just the visualizers of the songs. And some of that's already up online right now, as you can see. The standouts for me, guys, obviously, The Fate of Ophelia is it's a masterpiece for me. Especially now that I've seen the movie and you hear her talk about the inspiration of how the song came together. It's just, it's mind-blowing. The other standouts that I said were Opalite, very catchy. I like the song Cancelled, and The Life of a Showgirl was a perfect way to cap off these 12 songs. Now, I know that some people will say that early criticisms I said, or I read, were, some of them were just a touch boring, bland, like would wish list a little bit. I know that she really praised Elizabeth Taylor, but for me, that one was kind of like, But that's just going to be the case sometimes. You know, I'm a Swiftie. I'm a big fan. I am going to be collecting the vinyl for this, but here in Canada, we've got a strike on, and it'll get to me eventually. So I'm looking forward to that. My advice is, guys, if you can, go see it in the theater with a bunch of people. Make sure that your theaters are going to be packed. Okay, let's take a look at the 7:45 show. See, now that's packed. And these people are going to have fun, and they're going to be laughing at her jokes. It's like, Taylor's got a really interesting sense of humor. She really does. Oh, look at that. Like, people are going to go see this movie tonight, guys. Don't count this out for making up a little bit at the box office. Some other notes. You go to look at her IMDb. This is not listed anywhere on here. They need to get on this because she directed it, and she directed the music video too. The music video for Fate of Ophelia is really, really well done. There's cuts in between these small little scenarios that play out that are just brilliantly done. And it's just to see her go through her creative juices, trying to hash out these scenes and stuff like that. It's breathtaking. So that it doesn't come out for 2 days, but people are already in the live chat for that video, looking at it and going, yeah, they're sharing their love for Taylor Swift, and I recommend this movie. So there's no point for me to go through a formal score sheet for this. If you don't know, I do movie reviews with acting, directing, and story, and all of that kind of a breakdown, more of a critical analysis. This is kind of like not warranted for this type of movie. It's a quick hour and 30 minutes, and I gave it a thumbs up. All right, what did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and we will talk about it. Hey, if you like this kind of thing, we are going to be reviewing The Strangers, Chapter 2, The Baltimorons, and The Smashing Machine, right here on Mirror Domains. All right, so that'll be put up on the channel later on separately. Smashing Machine, really good movie. It's easily The Rock's best movie, but we're not going to be talking about that right now, because we're going to move on to possibly one of the worst movies of the year. The Strangers, Chapter 2. All right, and once again, this will be cut out and put up on the channel separately. The Strangers, Chapter 2 comes in at 16% on the tomato meter, 57% by the audience. That's some low ratings, and it's totally warranted because this is, without a doubt, one of the worst movies of the year. Now, I was not that big on the Chapter 1. The movie opens up with a little bit of a rehash of what happened in that first movie to remind us of the debacle that was The Strangers Chapter 1, which was basically just a rehash of the original Strangers. But this movie does nothing really that much to advance the story. So 97% of this movie is completely useless. It doesn't add anything. The end of the first movie is that she's running away from the strangers. Well, for 97% of this movie, Strangers Chapter 2, she's running away from the strangers. We learn a little bit more about one of the strangers in some flashback sequences, and that maybe could make up for that 3%. But the rest of it is complete garbage. You have got a scene in there with a wild boar that just comes out of nowhere, where it just well, guys, what are we doing here? How does this advance? How does this add character to the story? How does this add? It's just mind-boggling. The standout here is Madeline Petch, without a doubt. I felt bad for her because she is actually, like, look at, that's from chapter 1. I'll fast forward here. So, as I said, it's basically she's just running away from them again in this movie. Rennie Harlan is just, I don't know what they were, like, who gave him the money to do this movie is just, as a trilogy, it's mind-blowing. It's awful. So, Madeline Petch is the best part. Her acting, you can tell that she deserves better than this. She's got talent. You're rooting for her. You want her to get out of this situation, but it's just kind of like it's a retread of stuff that we've already seen before. It doesn't really add anything to it, and I just felt bad for her because you could tell that she was giving it her all. She was giving her best performance that she could, and the script and the directing just totally let this down. We saw that in the first movie that the town could possibly be in on it with Richard Brake as the sheriff, and they sort of mentioned that, but then they dropped that, and it's like, guys, we're now 2 movies into this. You've set up the town that's going to be kind of like behind this mythos, and we're not even going into that storyline. Instead, we're having side stories with boars out in the woods, and it's just it's not scary, and it's a bit like pulling teeth, and it sucks because, as I said, Madeline Petch is good. She's good. I would look at other movies in her catalog, and I would look forward to seeing more movies with her. And I just thought that, oh my God, she would be a really good Lara Croft. I don't know. There's something about her look here. I know that we're going to be getting Sophie Turner there as Lara Croft, but no, I think she would be better. She would be awesome. But I digress. Let's go over to the score sheet, fill this out, and then we'll take a quick look at some of the snapshot reviews for The Strangers Chapter 2. I'll be brief and blunt about this. Acting, obviously nothing is Oscar worthy in here, and I'm going to give it a full point because of Madeline Petch. I don't know if I can give it 1.5 because it's just basically a lot of screaming and stuff like that. Directing, I got to give, I guess, competence for a little bit of the technical aspects. Whoops, sorry, 0.5. But everything else is, the story is, like, I 0.5 for the story is just because it's got an interesting premise. That's what I award 0.5 for. But that's what, like, is this really an interesting premise? No, it's because she's just running away from them for 97% of the movie. Again. And it's kind of like, how is this a chapter 2 to a trilogy? This is not adding any more depth to what should be there, and it's just a huge swing and a miss. And I'm gonna even dock. I want to dock the directing more. Cinematography was competently done, and if I were feeling generous, cinematography and score are out of a possible 1 point each. I would give cinematography, like, if I was being generous, I would give it a full point, but I can't. Score, a lot of silence in this movie. They don't use sound cues to ramp up the tension all that much. I was really noticing that in the beginning of the movie. So we're sitting 3 out of 10 right now for The Strangers Chapter 2. Let's try to take a look at what some of the critics say and if it echoes anything that I've been saying here. New York Times, with little furtherance of the plot beyond the confusing flashbacks to a creepy childhood triad, Chapter 2 is hackneyed and silly, relying heavily on Petch's sneakily resilient scream queen. Yeah, Yeah, so that's sort of about what I was saying, right? Okay, somebody actually liked it. Variety. Taken purely as boilerplate thrill ride, the sequel really isn't half bad. No, it's bad, guys. It's not even worth a matinee. It's not even worth seeing on streaming. If you're going to watch it on streaming, watch it with the fast forward button, because there'll be parts where you just be bored to tears of people walking through the woods. Are they behind me or are they not? It's just like, oh, for God's sakes. Harlan gets solid mileage from mostly dialogue-free set pieces. No, Variety's way off base with this one. Bibiani, The Strangers, Chapter 2 is an improvement on The Strangers, Chapter 1. Then again, a moderate case of food poisoning is an improvement on a severe one. Yeah, it's not good. And it is in contention to be one of the worst movies of the year because it's offensive. It's really offensive. The things that were dumb. The audience has got some people in here that like it. Lily, amazing film, needs an Emmy. Well, unfortunately, Emmys are mostly TV stuff. What the heck is? So I consider that to be, well, rolling. Point 5, Christy. No storyline or dialogue. I just sat there completely confused. No explanation, no ending. And yes, it ended with a cliffhanger. To be concluded in Chapter 3. I don't really want to watch Chapter 3. There's nothing in the first 2 chapters that made me say, what's going to happen is that she's going to kill the other 2 strangers and they'll leave, but then it'll be like, but the town is still there waiting for its next victim. There, I just told you what's going to happen in Strangers Chapter 3. Why waste your time? Why waste your time watching that movie? Because this is pure tripe, and everybody involved in the executives, everybody involved with the creative team should be ashamed of themselves. And I'm looking at you, Rennie Harlan, Alan C. Cohen, Alan Friedland. Yeah, I don't know what you were smoking when you came up with this garbage. And that's what it is, complete garbage. All right, guys, hey, if you like this kind of thing, come join us here on the channel. Oh, yeah, what was my final score? do you want to know my final score? We were sitting at 3 out of 10. Watchability factor, I guess maybe if you're slightly curious to know where this goes, that's all I could say. So, yeah, that's my final score. 3.5 out of 10 for The Strangers, Chapter 2. So, if you like this kind of thing, we are also going to be reviewing the Baltimorons, the Smashing Machine, and Taylor Swift, the official release party of a Showgirl, right here on Mirror Domains. Okie dokie. Yeah, it's not good. There's nothing really to spoil in this movie because nothing really happens. Nothing really happens in The Strangers Chapter 2. We learn, like, maybe we're trying to take the Rob Zombie approach to Halloween of maybe showing us a little bit about who the people are behind the masks, what made them who they are, but it's kind of like so cookie cutter, so drugstore-esque therapy kind of stuff. It's what would you suggest for a cure for depression? Well, take these. Okay. But it's instead of asking serious questions, it's not a good movie. And I feel really bad for Madeline Petch. I do. But luckily, not a lot of people saw it. It didn't do that well at the box office last week. I think it maybe came in 4th. One battle after another. Gabby's Dollhouse, Demon Slayer, The Conjuring, Last Rites, and oh yeah, it came in at 5th. 5 million. This movie was supposed to come out last year. Like, all 3 chapters have been shot, and apparently they went back and reshot some of this because they were listening to the reactions of the first movie. And I was just like, what did you reshoot? Please don't tell me you reshot and spent a whole bunch of money on a CGI boar. At least if you leaned into some of the flashbacks with the kids becoming the strangers, that could have been like it would have been mind numbing. But at least you're showing us something that you're trying to attempt to explain them, even though that we don't want the strangers explained. We just they like to kill. That's it. It's like Freddy Krueger. He likes to kill young teenagers. We don't need to know why. He just does. Yeah, it's not a hard formula. It really isn't. But people make it out to be that tough. Alrighty. The Baltimorons comes in at 92% on the tomato meter, 83 by the audience, and it tells the tale of a Christmas Eve story of Cliff, a down-on-his-luck comedian who can't catch a break. He chips a tooth and then goes out to try to find aid. And upon that, he gets into an adventure with the dentist that it slowly becomes a whole day of, comedy of these weird abstract things happening, like his car gets impounded, he breaks in, she helps him break out. We find that he's been suffering from depression. He tried to kill himself. He's got 6 months of sobriety. He's having a really rough relationship with his current fiance. So he's really down. He's really down on his life and stuff. And when he meets the dentist, she adds a little smile to his face. And I gotta say, I was pleasantly charmed by this movie, The Baltimorons. It comes in at an hour and 41 minutes, directed by Jay Duplass. This main standout was Michael Strasner as Cliff, but Dee Dee, played by Liz Larson, also turned a really interesting performance in here because they carry this movie. It's basically these two walking throughout the movie, and you find yourself being taken in by these two individuals who just are having like a bad day. Their lives are slowly coming apart and they find comfort in each other. And about halfway through it, I'm like, I don't know if I like this movie, but I'm smiling. I'm smiling at these two coming together, and I was charmed, and I was pleasantly charmed. Now, this is a small independent film from IFC Films, but if you get the chance to see it, perhaps at your local art house theater or later on in streaming, The Baltimorons is it's worth a look. Let's go down to the comments in the trailer here. Grateful to have served as the cinematographer on this little gem. Huge thanks to the entire team who poured their hearts into bringing it to life. And much love to my fellow Baltimorons who helped lift up Jay's vision. Can't wait to see it shine on the big screen. And I saw this at a fan screening, a secret mystery movie there at Landmark. Yeah, I didn't know what I was watching. I had my fingers crossed for Tron Ares, but it was this movie instead. I can't wait to see this. Looks like Baltimore is one of the film's stars, and it would be nice to see my little city in a glowing light for a change. And indeed it is. The director does a good job of showing these wide establishing shots of the neighborhoods, of the downtown areas and stuff like that. And it does feel a bit like a love letter to Baltimore. So I respected that for this little movie here called The Baltimorons. And let's go over to my score sheet and start filling out some numbers for this movie. Now, if you don't know how this works, acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points each. Cinematography and score, 1 point each. Acting, overall, it's got some really good performances in there. From the two leads, would I say that it's Oscar-worthy? Possibly. Yeah, I reserve the right to come back to the acting because the two leads do a great job in here in carrying this film. Directing, technical aspects are done fairly well. It's a cohesive story. I don't feel like it dragged at any point. So beyond the technical aspects and the execution of the story, I gotta also give it a 1.5. The story itself, fairly straightforward. It felt like a good 3-act structure. And then, as I said, you get into it and you're like, what is this? Where's this going? What's going on here? But then you get charmed by the characters and these weird events that happen throughout the movie. In the beginning, it's like, well, yeah, I like this. I got a smile. I'm chuckling along with this. There's some funny parts in this for sure. Cinematography and score. I'm going to give the cinematography a full point because, as I said, some of those wide establishing shots, I like the fact that this movie had a certain grain to it at times where you could tell that they weren't going for that pristine, shiny 4K look. Let's use the best lenses with the low aperture so we can get, no grain in it. But, let's just shoot it the way we got it. And I appreciated that. Not everything has to look pristine. It's about what's being portrayed by the characters and just the composition of it. And the composition of this movie was cinematic, and I appreciated that. The score, it's got a lot of needle drops in here that I think a lot of people would appreciate as well. I'm going to give that a full point as well. And it's got a charming accompaniment there with the traditional type of score. So that being said, guys, we're sitting at 6.5 out of 10. Let's go over to the tomato meter and see if some of the critics are echoing what we have been saying here. Michael, Washington Post, yet the story manages to put a smile on your face from time to time, despite the gloom of its humor. Yeah. Now, as I said, the main character there is going through a rough time. He's lost his career a bit as a stand-up comedian. He's fighting alcoholism, and he doesn't know if he's really wanting to be in this relationship with this other person, and it's just he finds comfort in this dentist that also just seems to be having a bad day. And yeah, New York Magazine. Let's see if we can find a contrasting one here. Somebody who didn't like it. No? All right. Audience. Great story with many existential and relational overtones that were very thought-provoking. The movie was very engaging and fun to watch. Just saw this at an independent theater in Baltimore, and the crowd erupted in applause at the end. Very heartfelt. Yes, it is. Relatable and hopeful. It's hopeful, too, because you're dealing with somebody who's got depression, and they feel down. It's very much through points in this movie, and they deal with the addiction issues. Like I felt like they had a good handle on all of this stuff. Wonderful performances by the leads, and indeed, yes, absolutely. As I said, the two leads here, Michael Strasner and Liz Larson, are very, very charming, very, very well done. I just want to pull out the critics' reviews here just to see if we've got somebody who maybe didn't like it. Mucho Audience Awards at regional festivals, starting with its South by Southwest debut, and I can see the appeal of its oddly atmospheric, winsome rendition of an after-hours vibe. I sat with my heart like a stone, so I don't know. That sounds like a bit of a pretentious critic. And it almost sounds like a critic who is a journalist before they are a movie lover. But, hey, you're entitled to your opinions. I'm just going to disregard that one. The story of an entitled sociopath who puts a woman that loves him through hell while ruining her family's holiday, except disguised as a twinkie-eyed romantic comedy. See, again, that is going on in the background, but they also address that in the movie. Yes, he's gone to get his tooth fixed and gets caught up in this weird side adventure with this dentist, but it's explained later on. It is. So I gave that one a break. But overall, guys, I think you got the impression here that most people liked it. The main character is very annoying. I'm mixed on it. I say I wouldn't be. See, I think you're taking the perspective of the one character that you're not supposed to. But anyway, I felt like this was charming, And I feel like it's worth the look. So I will fully recommend the Baltimorons. Going over the watchability factor, that's out of 2 points. Yeah, check it out. 7.5 right there. Would I watch it again? Absolutely. So I'll give that a 1.5. 8 out of 10. A nice little sleeper hit. If you guys can check it out and get the opportunity and you just want to watch a good, feel-good movie, check out the Baltimorons right there. As I said, the standouts are the performances by the two leads. And, like, they're not the traditional leads that you would think would be carrying a movie like this. You would be thinking, oh, this should be George Clooney and Julia Roberts, right? But no, I like the fact that they look like normal people. Like these are just normal people going through the trials and tribulations of life, and that's what helped me relate to it and give it the thumbs up. So what did you guys think? Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, and we will talk about it. Hey, if you like this type of thing, we are going to be reviewing The Smashing Machine with Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt next, as well as Taylor Swift, the official release party of a Showgirl. That one was really good. And then we'll be wrapping up with a not-so-good film review for The Strangers Chapter 2, right here on Mirror Domains. Yeah, if you don't know, the Landmark that's near me plays mystery movies every now and then. Fan events. I think they've got another fan event this Monday, so I'll be going to that one. Hopefully that one will be Tron. That's an hour and 30 minutes, so it's over an hour, so that's 2 hours and 10 minutes. That's maybe about what Tron is. So you buy this, you don't know what... Oh, I should buy my tickets if it's filling up. People are thinking this one's going to be Tron. I think it's going to be Tron as well. I should buy my tickets for this. I'll do that right after the stream. And I should get my butt out to see one battle after another. I hear that it's worth a look. Maybe at a matinee. I'll check that out. Let's take some live comments here. Arglass Viking says, I haven't heard of the Baltimorons, but I'll look for it. Cheers for the review, James. Yeah. It's just, I like every now and then when you are not like, I didn't even know that this movie existed. I hadn't even watched a trailer for this movie. But, I'm a cinephile. I am a big fan of movies. I gave it a chance, and it paid off. For sure. Okay. Let's talk about The Smashing Machine, and we'll wrap things up so I can get out of here. Let's turn off the YouTube chat for right now. I'll bring the YouTube chat back up after we're done this, because I do want to talk about this one. This one is totally worth deliberating over for a little bit. As I said before, this will be cut out and put up on the channel by itself. And then I'm thinking maybe tomorrow or Sunday, we will wrap up. We will do the season finale for Alien Earth. It's just it really ate away at me thinking about episode 6. And episode 7 didn't do any favors either, with them running away on the beach and stuff. I just really became disillusioned with it, almost to the point where I was like offended. I didn't realize how much it would impact me, but I've in an attempt to dispel that cathartically from my system, I made a few shorts. I'm going to publish the second short later on. Maybe tomorrow, and it has to do with the boy genius, that guy. I'm befuddled by the decision making and the writing, because it started off so strong, and episode 5 of Alien Earth was just really compelling television. It was just really well done. And then it's just Noah Hawley. I don't think he stuck the landing. And the reason why I'm not looking forward to here doing the finale is because I hear that it ends on a cliffhanger, and they don't really resolve that much of the story. It's always story, guys. Give us a good cohesive story first before you do a sequel like Strangers Chapter 2. Give us a good cohesive story first for a season of a show. All right. But talking about good stories, let's talk about The Smashing Machine. Dwayne Johnson, Emily Blunt. The Smashing Machine comes in at 93. Oh, whoa, not 93. 73. Okay. Retake. The Smashing Machine with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Emily Blunt comes in at 73% on the tomato meter, 81 by the audience, and it tells the tale of MMA fighter Mark Kerr as he reaches the peak of his career but faces personal hardships along the way. Yes, and The Rock here turns in a really, really good performance. I was pleasantly surprised here. I was thinking that he would just use that same kind of rockisms that he has had in his career, but I didn't really remember Kerr because the trailers tried to sell you that this was about the UFC, like the early days of the UFC, and they did mention some of the other people that I knew from the early days of the UFC. I watched all the early UFCs before they got into all the rules and the weight divisions, like Royce Gracie, Dan Severn, Oleg Tatarev, those guys. That was my era, because when it started out, it was supposed to be like no holds barred, no matter what style you have, you can use it. And Mark Kerr, I once I saw pictures of him, it kind of okay, a little bit he reminded me. But then when the movie played out, I realized no, he was more in Pride. It was more of a different thing. He did have his time in the UFC, but it was like not as long. But overall, guys, the standout here is the performances by Dwayne Johnson. And I would like to say Emily Blunt, but the second best and the person who kind of stole the show was Ryan Bader as Mark Coleman. He plays his trainer / buddy in the movie. And I gotta say, he kind of almost practically stole the show for me, except for the fact that you're also watching Dwayne Johnson here transform into this other character. And it's not quite the story that I thought it was going to be, where it's about him going through lots of these fights and stuff. It's about him battling opioids, right? There's Coleman. There's the guy who played Coleman. He does a really good job. He helps anchor some of the madness that was going on with the drugs and stuff like that, and the spiritual side of what it was like to be in the ring, where these guys beat each other up, but they're not holding grudges. They're not coming at it from a point of malice. Well, some of them were, but obviously Mark Kerr wasn't, and neither was Coleman, right? It's worth that look for that aspect. And I found myself enjoying this movie. And I enjoyed the aspects when it came to the addictions. Because the wife, played by Emily Blunt here, is not also what I was expecting. I thought she was going to be the kind of person that was hanging on him and wanting to use him to get to the fame and money and stuff like that. But she's kind of not that. She would be the one egging him on to take the drugs and stuff like that. But she's got her own issues on the side. And there's a couple scenes between her and Dwayne Johnson. Well, you know how I feel about Emily Blunt. She's in contention to be in my top 5 actresses. She's really awesome, guys. And then to see The Rock hold his own with her and carry these scenes where they're fighting with each other, talking about addictions. It's heartbreaking at times because you can tell that they're so invested in this, like they sell it, and they needed to sell this for you to get invested in what the story was trying to convey, right? The story of him going through this part of his life, and by the end of it, I was like, guys, Smashing Machine. I was a little hesitant at first, but it pays off. It does. It totally pays off. But let's go over to my score sheet here and start filling out some of the numbers because I want to elaborate on some of the performances. Acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points each. Cinematography and score are out of a possible 1 point each. Acting, hands down, is easily 1.5. Dwayne Johnson's good, Emily Blunt is good, and so is the Bader. I gotta say though, people will be wanting to say, should he be Oscar? Is this nomination worthy? And while he's so good, like this is easily by far Dwayne Johnson's best film that he's ever made. This is a huge accomplishment for him. And I'm not going to take that away from him. I can't. Emily Blunt is solid, but Bader's also good in this. And for that fact, I'm going to give the acting a full 2 points. And if there's like a Golden Globe nod here, I don't think the Oscars are going to award him a nomination because there's still that stigma. Well, he's a wrestler. He can't do it. But no, guys, he's so good in this. So good. Full 2 points for acting. Directing. Technical aspects are good. The story is also very well executed. The pacing of this is well done. I appreciate it for that. The story, as I said, it's not quite as the story that I thought it was going to be. Like, he's got to fight this big match at the end of this movie. It's all about that final match. No, it's more about him just trying to get his way through life. And yes, with addiction. And then being in a relationship with somebody who's not really helping him out with that addiction. So for that, I also got to give the story 1.5. Cinematography is interesting here. The fight sequences in the arena are well done. Cinematography and score are of a possible 1 point. And I'm going to give the cinematography a full point here. The score was good. The score was decent. It didn't have a lot of those needle drops that you would expect, like for typical movies like of this ilk. Like it didn't have that big Rocky theme kind of thing where you get a training montage and stuff. No, it deals with, like, you get training stuff, but then it also deals with like Charlie horses, cramps, and what kind of medications are you taking for all that stuff. I really, really like this film. This movie is on the level of like The Wrestler. They're both great, both well done. So I want to elaborate just a little bit more here with the cinematography, because I think the trailer helps show this a little bit. The Rock is good here, but this movie also is shot in such a way where there's a grain to this. They try to show things in TV-esque style in the beginning, where it's kind of like things are on those older style monitors and stuff. So I appreciated the aspect of it not always having that polished look. Like that's something that's like a Marvel movie where it's like everything's got to be 4K detail. And it's like, no, guys, it doesn't always have to be that way, because we're watching these two people beat the pulp out of each other, but you're still engaged with it. It's like this. This is the kind of stuff I'm showing. Like they integrate that kind of style into their cinematography, and I really appreciated it. I did. It's the kind of movie where you watch this and you're like, okay, I want to look back at who these two people were, Emily Blunt and Mark Kerr. And it shows you at the end. It shows you pictures of them, and it actually And it kind of, not quite the way that Elvis did with last year, where it started with Austin Butler and then it slowly used real footage to blend into real Elvis. Not quite like that, but it does show the real person there at the end, which I appreciated. But this is a good movie, and it's executed in such a way where you think that there's something going on here that would start a fight between these two, and it's all about that. But then it kind of subverts expectations in a way, and I found that refreshing. I really did. He really looks like he really took those The Rock plays the same guy in every movie memes to heart. Bro said, "Make me look unrecognizable." Great to see The Rock challenge himself for this role, and he does. I think this is a movie that he'll look quite fondly on in his catalog of career achievements. Like, as an actor, I think this is what you kind of want to achieve, of something that is like, oh, this stands out for me. This is something that I can say, okay, I did a good job with this. And, well, you guys know how I feel about Emily Blunt. But I think at the end of the day, The Rock should be very pleased with this film. And I think, for the most part, as we saw on the tomato meter, people are responding to this as well. So let's go down to the critics' reviews here and see what people are saying. Having established its central foursome, the film doesn't take them anywhere in particular, but it's a sharp showcase of Johnson's remarkable physical transformation and his acting chops. Yeah. There's a couple of shots in this where the makeup, they augmented his forehead somehow, and it's just like, but sweat's coming out. It's like, how is this? Like, he doesn't look like him. He doesn't look like The Rock at sometimes. He does because of his frame, but his face looks different at times. The picture itself is more workmanlike than transcendent. It marches along, but doesn't soar. I can understand somebody saying, like, this isn't, maybe not as impactful as The Wrestler. Like, The Wrestler had that art house, critic-friendly type feel to it. And as we see the 73% here, the critics here are maybe not as warm to it because it's not by Darren Aronofsky. But this guy, he did a good job directing this. This portrait that goes beyond interest in the ring, someone who has never cared for the sport could be pleasantly surprised. Yeah, and it doesn't beat you over the head with those fighting sequences. As I said, this movie's more about like the addiction and his struggle to try to keep a lid on all that. And I appreciate it. Let's go down to the audience. This should have been on Netflix or a documentary. No, I don't agree with that. It's worth seeing on the big screen. It really is. The Rock delivers potential one of the best performances of the year, but not super creative camera shot wise. And Emily Blunt's character isn't developed enough. Now, that's a criticism that I could perhaps agree with about the Emily Blunt character. I wish we spent maybe just a little bit more time with her, because when they start to get into the fights and the arguments, they seem to be happy in the beginning, and it seems like she's good to him in the beginning. She's making protein shakes and everything for him, and he criticizes it, and she just washes it off. She's like, okay. I think maybe if earlier on that we had a little bit more of that spark of, well, I made the shake for you. Could you not at least drink it? Does it have to be precisely this way? Kind of like some arguments like early on, but I think they wanted to not completely portray her as some kind of really demonic kind of person, but it wasn't. And this kind of the brotherhood here between these two guys, between Coleman and Kerr, it was portrayed really well. It was really well done. I think that's the highlight of the movie for me. But then on top of those other scenes with Emily Blunt, it's got some really good stuff in here, and I can't recommend this movie anymore. So with that being said, let's wrap this up with my score sheet here. The watchability factor, if you are a fan of The Rock, obviously you want to check this out. If you want to see what happened with Mark Curry, you want to check this out. And then again, if you're curious about his acting, if you want to see him trying to stretch himself here, guys, I would totally watch this again. And I think I will. 8 out of 10 feels really good for me. Smashing Machine. Those criticisms about some of the character development, maybe a little bit of the pacing is not exactly what you think it's going to be. But overall, I'm somebody who feels like I kind of want to go back and watch this one again. And I kind of want to go back and watch Kerr's matches in Pride. Because, as I said, I was the one that was watching the UFC, but this is a lot more about Pride. I wish the poster said Pride instead of UFC. It's a different type of fighting in a more traditional boxing type ring as opposed to the octagon. Maybe it's just because they couldn't get the license to the other people consenting in the UFC, because the UFC was big. I was beyond just the people that the fighters were. There was like big Mike McCarthy there, right? The referee, those referees too. Like, yeah, maybe they couldn't do it because of that, but that's minor. 8 out of 10 for the Smashing Machine. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below and we will talk about it. Hey, if you like this type of thing, we just reviewed Taylor Swift, the official release party of a Showgirl, and I had a fun time with that movie. But I didn't have a fun time with The Strangers Chapter 2. These reviews are up on the channel. I was pleasantly charmed by The Baltimorons, a small indie romantic comedy. But Smashing Machine, let me know what you thought in the comments below, and we will talk about it. You're watching Mirror Domains. Live comments. I'll have to watch Smashing Machine next week, Arglass says. Have you watched One Battle After Another? No, I haven't yet. For me, it's the running time for One Battle After Another. It's just under 3 hours, right? And it's just, I'm coming up to midterms. I got papers and assignments due. Let's pull up the theater listings here. One Battle After Another, 162 minutes, right? So that's 3 hours and 2 minutes? No, hold on. Just a little under 3 hours. But I hear good things. I hear good things about One Battle After Another, that I should be expecting. I was kind of actually expecting it to be a bit of a bore. I hear good things about Good Boy. That's not playing near me. I don't want to watch Bull Lake because I like a good horror movie. Let's go over to the art house listings, see what's... Oh, Anemone is playing there. Okay. And Goodbye's playing at Original Cinema at 9:30 tonight. 9:30. Could I go watch that movie? No, it's late. I'm tired. I don't know if I can do that. I want to see it though. It's a horror movie from the point of view of a dog. And that's at the old art house cinema. That's across the street from the one that we went to the other day, or the last year. And the seats aren't as comfortable. Why are they playing The Lighthouse again? That's weird. But this Anemone, or Anemone, or whatever, that's Daniel Day-Lewis, directed by his son, Sean Bean, also, right? I liked the trailer for it. It looked compelling. 1980s Northern England, complexities of a brotherhood, father and son bonds. But it's not got some good reactions there, as we saw on the old tomato meter. 58% by critics, or 58, yeah. Waste of money. Walked out of the movie as it's putting me to sleep. 0 stars, somebody said. The movie's drama-based, not action, just to set the stage of expectations. From this, the storyline and acting abilities of lead and support actors is another masterclass. Well, that's about the way I would expect. Arglass says, yeah, it's way too long, but it pays off. Okay. I watched Relay with Riz Ahmed. That one, it was playing at Guelph. It was farther away. I didn't want to go over there. But not as bad, but the twist seemed shoehorned and was an extraneous afterthought. I think that's on streaming now anyway. All right, guys, I got to bounce. I got to get out of here. Thank you for joining me on the show there, Hourglass Vikings. As I said, we'll try to get through that Alien Earth this finale this weekend. And I'll chop these up and split these out later on. Put it up on the review channel. Thumbs up. Enjoy your weekend. And I'll see you next time right here on Mirror Domains.